Have you ever had a conversation with someone that felt absolutely magical, like time slowed down, you were deeply connected, and everything they said just clicked, only to find out later that they don't even remember having that conversation? Or worse, they remember it completely differently or act as if it never happened at all. If you've experienced this, you're not alone, and no, you're not going crazy. Today, we're diving into one of the most mystifying and beautiful phenomena in the energetic world. When you're not just speaking to a person, but to their higher consciousness, or they're channeling something greater through them. So keep watching, because we're going to explore what's really going on in these moments, and I'll even give you some of my own personal experiences of when this happened to me. Let's get started. When you have a deep, powerful, or even surreal conversation with someone, especially if you're energetically sensitive, what you're actually engaging with isn't just their personality or words, it's their entire energetic field. You may recall every word, the way you felt, the clarity, and the warmth, while they seem confused, dismissive, or simply unaware it ever happened. It's like you experienced two totally different timelines. So what's actually happening? Although the surface level conversation might seem casual or mundane, what you're feeling and receiving could be coming from a much deeper soul level frequency. In fact, what you're experiencing may align more closely with that person's higher truth than with their conscious awareness in that moment. And yes, sometimes you're actually speaking directly to their higher self. This tends to happen when you're in an elevated, intuitive, or spiritual state, even if you don't realize it. It can happen during meditation, healing work, or even casual conversations when your energy is naturally heightened. Often, this occurs in groups of spiritually evolved people, like at a retreat, workshop, or even soulful gathering, where the collective frequency is raised, making it easier to access higher realms of communication without effort or intention. Another possibility is that the other person is emotionally open, vulnerable, or relaxed. If you've watched my other video about brainwaves, you'll understand that being in different brainwave states can allow greater access to deeper levels of consciousness. Where working, problem solving, and just keeping busy will tie you to a beta brainwave state, being more relaxed can help you transition to the alpha, theta, and even delta waves that allow you to access a deeper level of awareness, such as your subconscious mind and intuition. Or it's even possible that a soul contract, karmic moment, or spiritual lesson is being activated. In these moments, your souls may be fulfilling an agreement made before this lifetime, like delivering a message, triggering healing, or helping each other remember who you really are. These interactions can feel electric or emotionally intense because they're designed to shift something deep within you. Once the exchange is complete, the normal version of that person may resurface, unaware of what just passed between your souls. These interactions often feel euphoric, angelic, or even like they're out of this world, because they are. They're not filtered through the ego, social conditioning, or emotional defenses. Instead, you're experiencing a moment of soul-to-soul truth, pure and undistorted. These are moments of resonance, not just communication, and that's why they feel so unforgettable, even if the other person forgets entirely. Sometimes the person you're talking to isn't just themselves in the usual sense. They're unknowingly acting as a vessel or channel for higher energies. This means that spirit, source, angels, guides, or other non-physical entities can speak through them, delivering messages, healings, or insight, especially meant for you. Think of it like this. The person is the messenger, the one who physically carries the message, but they might have no clue what's being said or why it feels so important to you. It's as if they're reading from a script they didn't write or speaking words that aren't fully theirs. Because this communication is coming from a higher realm or energetic source, it often bypasses the person's conscious mind, which can explain why later on they might not remember the conversation at all, or they might even feel confused or disconnected from what was shared. This isn't about them ignoring you or being dishonest. It's simply that the message came through a part of them that operates beyond their everyday awareness. The higher intelligence behind the message chooses the vessel, and the message is delivered exactly as it needs to be, regardless of the messenger's memory or understanding. Recognizing this can help you release frustration or hurt when someone seems absent or forgetful after an intense or meaningful exchange. Instead, you can honor the message itself and the fact that you were chosen to receive it, even if the channel doesn't fully remember being the conduit. For more information on channeling, you can find some other videos I've made on this fascinating topic in the description below. Have you ever had a conversation that felt like it lasted forever, even though it was only a few minutes? Or moments where time seemed to slow down, or even speed up? That's not your imagination. In high-frequency, energetic exchanges, time and space literally bend and shift. When you're tuned into a higher dimension or vibration, the usual rules of linear time don't apply. Instead of words carrying the whole message, energy itself becomes the language. Information, emotions, and healing flow faster than your mind can track or your ears can catch. You might feel like you've gained hours or even days' worth of insight in a brief encounter. This is why after these moments, you often feel lifted, like you've been recharged or awakened. Your consciousness expands because you've accessed a dimension where your soul is learning directly, bypassing the mental filters that normally slow everything down. It's like stepping into a bubble of divine timing, where the universe orchestrates everything perfectly. The person you're speaking with might still be operating in ordinary time, but you have slipped for a moment into a timeless space where profound shifts happen. Recognizing these moments as windows into higher reality can help you embrace the experience without trying to force it to fit into your everyday logic. Instead, let yourself be in that expanded state, because these are the moments that truly transform your energy, your awareness, and your life path. Another fascinating possibility behind these mysterious conversations is that your soul and the other person's soul have an agreement or contract to meet in this lifetime. This contract isn't about small talk or everyday chit-chat. It's about exchanging something deeply valuable: healing, insight, clarity, or even emotional comfort that serves both your growth. Think of it like two parallel realities, briefly overlapping for a purpose. Your meeting isn't random. It's a soul-level appointment set long before this lifetime. In this sacred space, you might share wisdom, activate a spiritual awakening, or trigger a healing process that neither of you fully understands in the moment. What makes this tricky is that these exchanges don't always fit into a linear timeline or typical memory. Once the agreed-upon work is done, the moment naturally dissolves from the other person's conscious awareness. Their brain, or ego, may wipe it clean like a dream upon waking, simply because the experience isn't needed anymore in their current reality. This is why sometimes you remember a profound conversation, but the other person is completely unaware it ever happened. It's not about them denying you or your experience. It's about honoring the energetic contracts that souls make to serve their highest path. These encounters might be brief, but their impact can ripple through your life for years to come. Understanding this can help you release frustration or confusion, knowing that the universe arranged this meeting for your growth, even if it only lasted a moment in their memory. If you don't understand what's happening energetically, these moments can be extremely painful. Imagine having a heart-to-heart with someone, feeling deeply seen or connected, and then later they act distant, or worse, like they barely know you. It can feel like rejection, abandonment, or emotional whiplash. You might question your memory, your sanity, or even your worth. But here's the truth that will change your perspective. It's not about you being wrong, crazy, or too sensitive. It's about energy operating on a level that most people aren't even aware of. You are tapping into something beyond the ordinary, a higher frequency, a soul connection, a spiritual transmission. The other person might be there physically, but not present energetically in the same way you were. When you grasp this, you reclaim your power. You start to see these moments as gifts rather than confusion or pain. If you've ever felt hurt or disoriented by these experiences, you're not alone. Here are 4 steps to move through it with grace and power. First, honor the experience as real and sacred, no matter what the other person remembers. These moments are yours and they touched you for a reason. Don't let anyone, including yourself, diminish the impact. This can be the hardest step. You have to consciously release attachment to the person or to the idea that the connection must continue in the way you expect. Sometimes the other person is simply a vessel, a channel for energy or a message, not a lifelong companion. Let go of needing validation or ongoing interaction. The gift was in the moment and not to continue with you on your journey. Take time to reflect deeply on what you received. What emotions surfaced? What insights did you gain? What did the experience clarify or awaken in you? Write it down, journal, meditate, or even record a video. Let that message become a guide in your life. This is where the real healing and transformation live. Finally, close the energetic loop with gratitude. Thank the person or the higher energies that came through them. Gratitude is a powerful tool. It opens your heart and raises your vibration. By releasing with love, you free yourself from any lingering confusion or pain and make space for more aligned, conscious connections. This approach helps you own your experience without getting stuck in hurt or confusion. It's about learning to dance with the invisible energies around us and growing stronger with every step. This is something I don't often share with others, because if you've gone through something similar, then it's hard enough thinking that you might be losing your mind, let alone having others think the same. I've been through these experiences more times than I can count. In fact, there was a time where I couldn't face interacting with people, as I was so afraid that it would happen again, where after a deep, heart-centered conversation, they would become completely dismissive and act as if they didn't even know who I was. But now that I understand what's happening and the energy behind it, it's becoming easier and easier to manage. And in fact, I now look forward to my higher soul encounters, and I'm grateful for all of them, even if it means that no one else remembers them but me. In my experience, these deeper conversations happen mainly when I'm at spiritual retreats, which makes sense as there are hundreds of spiritually seeking and evolved souls all in one place. It would mainly happen with one person each time. Sometimes someone I knew, and sometimes a complete stranger would approach me, and we would share incredible insights. The first conversation that I was aware of, I felt so alive, so full of light and almost childlike. We shared stories and very personal stories that I was even sworn to secrecy, never to tell another soul. We laughed so hard we would cry, and I felt that the person was not just there to learn more about me, but also there to help and guide me, almost like they were sent to look after me. Each time we interacted, I walked away buzzing, with my heart wide open. But when I reached out later, the other person acted as if none of it ever happened. And I even felt that the energy had dissipated several days after the event, which I later realized was the case for many of my encounters. So perhaps texts and messages would be shared in that period, or even a video call. But after a few days, the energy faded, and I would be left with just the distant but vivid memory. Another example happened more recently, which was also at a spiritual retreat. I had a day free after the event, and I decided to spend some time alone. I decided to spend it outdoors, and as I was sat on a bench by a pond, a stranger walked by. The first time I noticed him, but didn't say a word and continued with what I was doing. But he walked by a second time, and even a third. By this time I was intrigued, and I asked him if he was part of the same event that I was attending. He said he wasn't, but we ended up introducing ourselves and became deeply engaged in what started out as a chat about spirituality. Time seemed to stand still as we were talking and laughing. He even went on to tell me how he saw me and also what he saw that I would be doing in the future with regards to my passion and career. Before I knew it, I looked at the time and 5.5 hours had passed. We both couldn't believe it. We had basically sat in the same position on the bench without moving for 5.5 hours. I remember that he even told me I had a strong spine, aside from a small area just by the base of my neck. At the time, it made sense, but thinking back, what a strange comment to make. How on earth would he know if I had any problems with the area of the spine below my neck? We finished off our conversation, exchanged social media handles, and went our separate ways, never to speak again. So when I got home, I checked to see if he was actually a real person, which in fact he was. But there was no activity on his social media platforms, and again, no contact. A third experience I had is actually one that happened before the ones I just talked about, and it took place at a course I was attending. I sat beside a woman that I know, and we were at the stage of being acquainted and friendly with one another. We chatted before the course started and during the breaks. I remember clearly our conversations as they had to do with our backgrounds, our cultures, and specifically the foods that we eat. She seemed to know quite a lot about my culture, which was a bit bizarre to me, as the subgroup of my culture isn't widely known, especially if you're not of the same heritage. Well, this woman knew all about it and described to me the people, the history, the foods, you name it. Then she went on to speak about the founder of pranic healing, which was related to the course that I was on. And I was amazed at the detail that she knew about him. We went on to watch a short video, and when the lights came back on, she told me she had fallen asleep, and could I please tell her what happened and what was the meaning of life. I did give her an answer surprisingly. I blurted out the meaning of life without thought or hesitation. And shortly after, the course ended and we never spoke again, aside from our friendly, "Hello, nice to see you again," when seeing her at subsequent courses. Now, because I already had similar encounters and knew there was something strange going on, I decided to put these higher level conversations to the test. So a year after this conversation took place, I decided to contact this woman, and I spoke about our lovely conversation that took place the year before, and I asked if she would kindly let me know the source of all of her knowledge, particularly that of the founder of pranic healing. After a few days, she responded, which was very polite, but saying that although she remembered sitting next to me, she didn't recall any of our conversations and certainly didn't recall having any conversation about Master Choa Sui, the founder of pranic healing. Now, there are many more experiences, but I won't go through all of them. In fact, I also realized that these weren't only happening at spiritual events. I also had similar encounters in my everyday interactions. I think that once you become aware of what's happening, then you become aware that it's happening more and more. Or the other thing is that when you yourself can maintain a higher frequency, higher vibration, or higher level of consciousness, then you will get these experiences because this is the frequency you are operating from. These moments were all a sacred exchange between my energy and theirs, or maybe even their higher selves. It wasn't about the physical person remembering or validating me. It was about me receiving what was needed in that divine window of time. And that understanding has changed everything. It allows me to cherish these moments without needing anyone else to confirm their reality. So the next time you walk away from a conversation that felt angelic, healing, or transformative, and the other person says, "I don't remember that," don't second guess yourself. You weren't just talking to a person. You were communicating with their energy, their higher self, or even being guided by a higher force that used them as a vessel. You weren't crazy. You were tuned in, and that in itself is a gift. Take the blessing. Let it land in your heart. You were chosen to receive something divine, and your soul said yes. So be grateful. Stay open. Keep walking with wonder. The universe speaks in whispers, in winks, and in these surreal little moments, the more you notice them, the more they'll come. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more inspiring content. And if you've ever felt that anything like this has ever happened to you, I'd love to hear about your experiences in the comments below. I really hope that this has provided you with more insight as to what's happening to you, and especially how to deal with it, understanding that it's a true gift. Until next time, take care, trust your inner knowing, and always stay inspired.